Hey folks, and welcome back to Project 40. Did you know it is the Lexus's birthday? That's right, 12 months ago today, I bought my first Lexus RC F, and I thought what better way to celebrate the occasion than to bring it back to Blyton Park for the first Radiator Arms track day and absolutely hammer this car round track. And because it's been 12 months, I thought it'd be a great time to do a year in review of the Lexus RC F. What do I think about it after 12 months? Would I buy it again? And more importantly, is it going to stick around for another 12 months? Now, if this is the first video of mine you're watching, welcome. I hope you consider sticking around. Now, to give you some history, 12 months ago, my Lexus RC F looked a little bit different because it was a white Lexus RC F that I bought from a Lexus main dealer. The theory was that after buying many cheap cars and paying a lot of money to keep them running, why not buy a little bit more expensive car that's going to be very, very reliable? So was the theory. Unfortunately, that Lexus RC F broke down catastrophically within 12 days, and as of time of writing, a year later, it is still off the road. Trust my luck that I am the only person in the world that finds an unreliable Lexus. But after some back and forth with the dealer, we landed on a good deal for this blue Lexus RC F, and it has been everything I wanted it to be. It has been reliable, it's been fun, it's been fairly practical. I can fit most of my family in it, and I've had a blast over the last 12 months. We have done road trips, we've taken it to the Nürburgring, Misha drove it, I've done a track day at Blyton Park, and we're going to be doing another track day today. But if you watch the Nürburgring video and the track day I did in August, you'll know there's something I had to fix. And it was these tyres, because unfortunately, when I replaced the very worn Super Sports back in January, I put on a set of Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tyres. Now, in my naivety, I assumed a larger number or a higher number would in fact indicate a better tyre. And whilst it's a great road tyre, it isn't very, very good on track. In fact, it howled and complained, and the tyres just got absolutely ruined. And if you want to buy a set of part-worn Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tyres, hit me up. I'll do you a good price. They're not that bad. They're just definitely not suitable for another track day. And so I stumped up the 940 quid to get a set of probably the tyres I should have got first time round, which is the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, the gold standard of performance road tyre. And it's my hope that these new tyres, in combination with the mods we've already put on this car, specifically the RR Racing carbon intake shield and the air oil separator, will make this car absolutely perfect for the track. And so I'm going to break this down into three categories. One, practicality and livability. I think that's really important for any long-term review. Two, performance. Well, we're at a racetrack. We're definitely going to find out about that. And three, the intangibles. So let's talk about practicality and livability. Now, if you watched the first video I ever did on my then white Lexus RC F, you'll remember that I was perhaps looking at getting back into an LC 500. That's a car that I've owned before and I've loved and still is a dream car for me. But one of the reasons why I didn't wasn't cost, it was practicality. Now, I'm sitting behind my sort of passenger seat in its sort of rearmost position, and I can fit. Now, granted, there isn't much headroom, but I guarantee you there is more headroom than there would be in an LC 500. And so, whilst I'm not going to be spending any time in the rear of this car, my family is. And so for my young daughter and son, having a rear seat that they can actually exist in is kind of important. There is nothing more frustrating than having a car that only two people can use, even though there's technically 4 seats. So from a practicality standpoint, this has done everything I needed to. Yes, I've not taken it to the tip, fair, but everything else, it's been great. I've been able to be at least 3 up and occasionally 4 up in this car. And whilst it's not super comfortable for the person who sits behind me, which is unfortunately my son, it's definitely livable. And as soon as my son gets out of the car seat, and I am praying for the day that happens, we've only got a couple of centimeters to go before he's apparently able to not be in a car seat, and I cannot wait for that day, then some of that issue goes away. And this car is actually going to be, even more livable than it already is. The boot, I think, is a decent size, and yeah, it's something that has actually lived up to my expectations. Now, will this last forever? That is a big question. And I think probably not, because unfortunately my kids are only, well, not unfortunately, fortunately my kids are only going to get bigger. And so by the time sort of my son hits my daughter's age, he's currently 7 and my daughter's currently 12, then he's probably going to be a lot taller than my daughter is. And so that's when this sort of car starts to be a problem. But where we stand right now in September 2025, this is the practical family car that I was hoping it would be. But what about livability? Now, that is a different thing, because practicality is about how you are able to use the space that the car gives you. Livability is about the day-to-day. Now, this is where I think the car maybe gets a C or a B- grade. Now, from an efficiency standpoint, this car is incredible. It has way exceeded my expectations of what a V8 can do. Now, on the Michelin Pilot Sport 5 tyres, so not the 4Ss that are currently fitted, I achieved a personal best of 42 miles to the gallon on a run. That is incredible from a car that has 464 brake horsepower. And let's face it, it's not a lightweight. This is 1,800 kilograms. If you want to see what that actually is equivalent to, that's like an X51 Jaguar XJR. That's a big car. This is a supposedly 2-door coupe, but yet it's 1,800 kilograms. So it is quite heavy. Yet, thanks to the efficiencies in the engine having both port and direct injection and the ability to use the Atkins cycle, it means that this car is incredibly efficient. And if you're interested in seeing a video that proves how efficient this car is, I'll put a link into the description below. But as I said, this is a high C or a B- for livability. And the biggest problem with this car is the suspension and the doors and sills. Now, the suspension in the 2015 RCF is very stiff, and it is just at the point of being intolerable. And the more I drive this, particularly as we're starting to get into winter and the roads are getting worse, the worse this suspension is. And if there was anything that would cause me to leave this car and sell it and find something else, it is that suspension, which is a downside. If this was a 2017, you'd have the adaptive dampers, it would be a much more comfortable car. But these has fixed dampers, and that is a big downside. The other aspect is mainly my fault for getting older. And now I'm a heady 42, and this car is quite low. And the sills, because of the weird homunculus Frankenstein nature of this car, and that it's half IS convertible, half IS and half GS, but that doesn't work mathematically, but you get what I mean. There is a lot of cars going on in here, and the sills, because it is part of the IS convertible, are very, very thick. This is great from a stiffness point of view, and it's amazing on track, but it means that it's quite hard to get out of. And these doors, because it's based on the convertible, are absolutely massive and quite heavy. And I'm basically carrying a couple of injuries. One, my shoulder I've torn something there, so that hurts a lot. And my knee has no cartilage, and I've got a torn ligament. Those things combined mean that getting in and out of this car is actually quite problematic. And that's why, you know, it kind of is maybe going to be going on to its next owner at some point soon. But the rest of it's great. The fit, the finish, the interior is beautiful, and it is kind of kept up with the usage over the last year, the road trips, the track days, etc., etc. It's really been an enjoyable car, and I'm really, really pleased with it. And I'm still 100% this is the right decision versus getting back into an LC500. Crazy as that may sound, and the LC500 is a fantastic car. It sounds amazing, has a much better gearbox, but is horrible to live with if you've got a young family. That's just a fact. Don't come at me. It's just, I've actually owned both cars. I kind of know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, let's talk about the stuff that's really interesting. Performance. And for that, we need to get out on track. All right, let's talk performance. 5-litre V8, 464 brake horsepower, 6-pot calipers at the front, 4 at the back. It's fantastic. This car has never felt like it lacked for any form of power. Grip originally, yeah. The PS5s were just not capable of dealing with anything on track. But I'm around 5 miles an hour faster than I was on the Michelin Pilot Sport 5s. These 4Ss are a fantastic tyre. It's obvious why they are so popular, even though they're relatively old these days. But this chassis, I love it to bits. Yeah, it's not the most refined thing in the world. There are faster cars, there are lighter cars, but because of this car's origin, remember, it's based on a convertible and given a roof, so it is incredibly stiff. And I've been fortunate enough on this track day today to do a bunch of different passenger laps, and some of the cars have not got any of the stiffness compared to this RCF. It's a brilliant car to drive. Yeah, you feel the weight a bit, but everything on this car is just designed for fast driving. The seats really keep you in position. The engine cooler, the transmission cooler, everything is designed to give you maximum performance, the maximum you can get out of a 2-door Muscle GT. It's a phenomenal car, and honestly, way, way better than an LC500 could ever dream of being on track. Because whenever the LC500 comes up, it almost seems like a joke to compare it to the RCF. But honestly, I don't think the RCF, or I don't think the LC500 would know which way a well-driven RCF would go, because people call this car heavy. This is 1,800 kilograms, but an LC500 is 2 tons. So without a driver, that is 200 kilograms heavier than the RCF. And it doesn't have a transmission cooler, and it doesn't have an engine cooler, which means after a few laps, the car is going to be crying for some cool down laps. Whereas this car, it just wants to keep on going. And this is what I really wanted. Yeah, the LC500's got a better gearbox, no doubt about it. But this in the twisties, it would show it a clean pair of heels. And these tyres, one thing I'd be very, very interested in trying is the RCF Track Edition with the carbon ceramic brakes, because these 380mm discs are impressive, but what would the stopping power be like with carbon ceramic? How much harder would you be able to go knowing that the discs wouldn't fade with temperature? Double AX, let's go! Come on now! Such a great little track and a fantastic car. Honestly, on performance, I give this car an A+, because it does everything I want it to do. Gearbox is responsive once you whack it into Sport Plus. Oh, these tyres have absolutely transformed this car. I just love hamming on this car. And this now, it's like the 3rd time I've been here, so I know the track a little bit better, but also I know the car better after 12 months. We've done 2 track days in the RCF and multiple laps of the Nürburgring, something I never thought would happen in any of my cars. And it's awesome to be able to have the confidence to take a car to a high pressure event like a track day, like the Nürburgring, and have full faith and full confidence that it's going to deliver when you need it to most. And so it begs the question, Would I buy an RCF again? Yes, with the caveat, I'd probably buy a 2017 model with the adapted dampers. I think honestly, on track, the suspension is amazing. On the road, it's kind of suboptimal and just a bit too hard and stiff, and that's the only reason I'm considering moving this car on, is because of that suspension. But right here, right now, this car is phenomenal and it's everything I want it to be, and I'm so pleased that the tyres, despite the £900 it cost me to get them fitted, is living up to my expectations. Tyres are getting pretty hot, so this will probably be the last action lap, and then I'll have to do some cool down laps, and then we'll wrap up. This car's so good! And now let's just hit some cool down laps. This car is phenomenal. I love it to bits, less so on a rutted road. But right now, right here, it's everything I want it to be. Oh, such a good car. Steering, great. Tyres, great. Tyre pressures, high. But temperature for the oil and the coolant is absolutely bang on the middle. And I've been absolutely wailing on this car. Woo! Fuck yeah! Good job, Lexus. Just wish you had adapted dampers. At the beginning of this episode, I said I had a decision to make. After 12 months, do I decide to sell the RCF, bank some money, and get something cheaper? Or do I keep it for another 12 months? And the answer is, I'm not sure, which I understand sounds like a cop-out, but hear me out. Because on the way up to the track day, I was pretty sure I was going to sell it. Ultimately, it is very, very stiff for day-to-day usage, and with some injuries that I'm carrying, it is hard to use. But after driving it around Blyton Park with the new Michelin Sport Pilot 4S tyres, it has been absolutely sublime, and it's kind of made me fall in love with the car again. So what do I do? Do I keep the car, or do I sell it and get something? Do I get something in the £10,000 bracket? It is a real hard decision, and I'm not too sure what to do, and that's where I need your help. Do I keep or do I sell? Let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate your feedback. And with that, I just want to say a massive thanks to James and the Radiator Arms crew for putting on the best track day in the calendar. And there are still a few tickets available in the November session, so if you've not booked one, please get onto them because they are so much fun. With that, we're done with another episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you can hear me, and I'll catch you in the next one.